This is Purpose City, Stories of Humanity in Action, presented by Executive Wealth Management. Guests on Purpose City do not necessarily reflect an endorsement of Executive Wealth Management.
Steve Gronow here, and The Rock.
And I am here.
Or Duane Johnson.
Yeah, that's my plume.
That's right. Steve, love every day in. What's that mean to you?
It means you can't wait to get out of bed and get at it, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
You don't really have a job. You just have people to go serve. And you better do it with a smile on your face or find another vocation.
Has that always been your outlook?
Yeah, I've been very blessed. Every job I've ever had has been basically for me. I've been self-employed since I quit the restaurant on 8 Mile washing dishes.
Wow, you come a long way.
That one I didn't like much. But yeah, it's just been an amazing ride being an entrepreneur.
Do you still wash dishes at home?
No, paper plates.
Yeah, I do the same. Paper plates.
Yeah.
You pull out the dishes when you have to. Company.
Right.
So you're Chestnut, Homebuilders, and real estate. What does your business do?
Well, it's two divisions. It's a full-service real estate office, just like any other real estate office, any big-name brand, or we provide those same services, and I like to think we do it better than most of the others, but it's a little self-promo there. The other side of the company is home building and multifamily building. We're building apartments and single-family homes.
And Duane Johnson, you're not really the Rock, but you've been called the Brick.
Well, I've been called the Brick, the Boulder, and the Pebble.
Right.
All three.
Just short of the Rock.
Just short of the Rock, a little bit smaller. It's all hair and makeup.
Right. And what do you do?
I'm a private wealth manager with Executive Wealth Management.
Gotcha. And community, Steve. Why are you so passionate about helping your community? For some people, I say if businesses are helping their community, it's good no matter the motivation, but yours definitely doesn't just seem like a business model for new clients. It seems like it really authentically comes from you.
Yeah, it is me and my wife, Patty. The blessings in life come for a reason, I believe, into your life, and you have opportunities put before you. And if you recognize it's an opportunity, you can jump in. And I guess it was put there, by our Lord. I didn't put it there. It was just been there. So I came out of the wrapper with a desire to serve. And I'm very thankful for that because I've learned a lot about other people's lives and how the challenges they have and some of the curveballs that they've been dealt and some of the troubles with mental illness, with addiction, with families in brokenness, folks that are just totally lost in life and none of it necessarily by reason of a choice that they made. It's just the way it happened.
Right. And you primarily, I shouldn't say primarily, you're involved in a litany of compassion and endeavor. What's the word, Duane?
Endeavors.
Thank you.
Ba-dum-bum.
The Brick. He comes in for my rescue. But you seem to have a heart for youth specifically.
Right. Well, they're the future, right? They're going to be the next people leading our country, the next people running our businesses, employing our people, our youth. I'm 64. I started my first business when I was 15. So I've been at it for a long time. And in my particular situation, I did have a broken family. I had a father who was a drug addict. Mom was hanging on by her fingernails. Our family was a chaotic mess for most of the time growing up. Don't know what an intact family looked like or smelled like or any of that, but I had a grandfather who took an interest in me, and I hung on to that and sort of developed my own way of knowing what I didn't want for my own kids and my own family because it was evident in my life. And the youth is the key, I think. We have youth going off the rails by the busload. In Livingston County even, you don't hear about it, you don't read about it much. It's pretty hidden under the rug, but we have drug overdoses recorded by 911 that number in the hundreds every year in Livingston County. We have loss of life through drug overdoses, and people like Courtney Atascalaskis with the Amber Reineck House trying to help women get their life back from being addicted. She's an incredible woman right here local, does an amazing job providing this housing, mentorship, leadership, recovery for women who need to get back into the mainstream and put their life back together. You have little organizations like the Reaching Higher program, for example. This is a mentoring program that probably is the most effective resource in the county, in Southeast Michigan, for discovering in our schools, the hallways of our schools for some kids is pretty dark. It's pretty dark. Right. They have a lot of brokenness in their household. They have dangerous environment that they live in, where there's an abusive member of the family, and there's trouble and strife and addiction, and these kids they don't know which way is up. And when they get into those teen years, that's where the suicide comes in. That's where the drug use comes in. That's where, for the girls, some of the promiscuity comes in, and their life just starts to crumble. And you know, when the family is failing, there's only one thing when the family has failed in between a life of success and a life of destruction for a young youth in Livingston County, and that's the community. And you know, if you're part of the community, you can make a difference. You don't have to have a lot of money, and you don't have to have a lot of talent. You don't have to have a lot of skills. All you have to have is the willingness to help somebody and volunteer some time sometimes.
True.
So with Reaching Higher, it's simple. You merely get involved in the organization. You become a little vetted, and they put you in a classroom as a volunteer, a mentor for 25 students at a time. And when you watch the results of this 8-week program and how it builds confidence and trust and self-esteem, and puts some tools in the toolbox for these youth to understand how to deal with stress and worry, and how to set goals, and how to overcome limiting beliefs, how to make better choices with their friends, how to communicate better with the parent or the caregiver, with the teachers. Now you've contributed to putting somebody's life back on track. And you just did it with 2 hours a week for 8 weeks. Yeah. It's not hard.
Where do the kids come from? I know you said Livingston County, but how do they find Reaching Higher?
Yeah, so the school counselors know, and the teachers know which kids are at risk. And this isn't a classroom full of misfits. It's very deliberately put together through a proven program where the counselors look for 5 superstars. The captain of the football team, the cheerleader, all of the people that are really succeeding.
The Duane types.
Yeah, the brick types. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
They look for 5 kids that really have a solid home life. Maybe they have some strong spiritual beliefs. Maybe they're academically gifted. They look for that, and they offer a leadership opportunity for those kids in school. And then they look at there's 15 kids kind of in the middle where they're not really having trouble, but they're a little bit invisible. They're not doing much. They're getting by with C's, and they're maybe a little tardy here and there, and a few complaints. Then you got 5 that are this close to the cliff, and everybody knows it. They're the ones that you're not sure if you're going to see them tomorrow in class or if you're going to read about them in the paper. And this is abundant. This isn't just an isolated thing. There's lots of kids that are in that category in Livingston County in our school systems. So you put that 25 magic mix together in the classroom with 2 professional instructors and 5 schmoes like me just volunteering, and in the structure of this 8 weeks, the results speak for themselves. It's amazing. It's truly an incredible program. So that's part of the way that I spend my time volunteering.
I mean, it's one thing to have the resources to help fund these places, which you do fundraisers, and you do help in a financial capacity in a great way, but you actually put in your time.
Well, yeah, the time is important, but also the money is important.
Yeah, for sure.
We always say no money, no mission. Everybody has bills to pay, and the nonprofits have suffered in Livingston County over this past 18 months from COVID, and we can't hold fundraising events for them. We can't gather and tap our friends and business associates for support.
Has there been kind of anything that's been creatively done in that meantime, whether over Zoom or? How is the community done during this time?
Yeah, a few organizations have successfully pulled off some Zoom fundraisers. Not nearly as much fun as being
sure.
in the real fundraiser, but yes. Again, with Reaching Higher, I don't mean to harp on them too much, but they created a whole online program during COVID, which they never had before.
Right.
So now we can take and deploy the Reaching Higher program into a school that might be shut down or or maybe it's a private school, maybe it's a Montessori, any kind of school that is interested in investing in their kids can now participate in this program via online.
That's great.
I love it. This semester, we're getting back to being live in the classroom. So next week, I'll be starting up at Hull High School. I'm volunteering with some other people from the community for a class, and everybody's really pumped. Everybody's really excited to get back at it. So, but online works, but it doesn't work as well. There's maybe 20. Sure. In my experience, about 20% of the money raised in live events has been raised in these online fundraising events. So there's still a big shortfall right now. We do need to get after supporting our nonprofits in a big way.
Yeah.
Now that we're back to work.
Or at least some of us.
Yeah, other than unemployed wealth advisors.
Right.
Okay, I'm a target over here. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it.
No.
That's what you're here for.
Just kidding.
So your focus, we'll talk a little about a couple of the other philanthropy things you're involved in, but this really focus on youth. Is it because of the environment you grew up in, do you think? Is that where that heart is? Because you're even, I mean, that's a lot of your time. And if I'm not mistaken, even work with middle schoolers at your church.
Well, yeah, I was involved in the DC4K program at the Brighton NAS for 5 years. That's the program where it's called Divorce Care for Kids, so DC4K. Okay. During Celebrate Recovery on Monday nights, a lot of the parents couldn't afford caregivers or didn't have caregivers to watch after their kids while they were trying to get their life back on track at Celebrate Recovery. Well, somebody has to be there with their kids. So we had the 6 to 12-year-olds, and they come in there, you know, their life is shattered, they're broken, they're depressed, they don't know what's happened to their family, and you can make a difference there with the tools that you have in a program like Divorce Care for Kids, and they learn it isn't their fault, and they're not the reason, you know, that it's happening. So that program, I brought my 320-pound electrician buddy, John Fillion, who lives by me on Chilson Road. He came in. He volunteered 4 years of his life every Monday night.
Wow.
To be there with those kids.
Nice.
And I know it made a difference.
Well, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, out of the long list you're involved in, I wanted to highlight, because I love this program, the Arc of Livingston County.
Yeah, the Arc. I laugh because I just had an event last weekend for the Arc and for special ministries and foster care. So you get 120 special needs kids together with varying degrees of ability, and you put a fishing pole in their hand, and you have a volunteer help them toss that pole in the water and watch what happens. It's as soon as that fish comes on, there's the screaming starts, the jumping and hopping and yipping and yapping, and they're running around. And you get the fish, I help them get the fish off the hook. You put it in a bucket, you take it over to the fillet table, they follow you over and watch what's going on. And some of them have never seen a fish filleted before.
Well, explain who some of them are, in case we don't know. What is the Arc of Livingston?
So the Arc they're an advocacy group for getting out in front of people with special needs. And for the LSA program, which is an amazing program Livingston County has with Mike Hubert as the director, they care for all these kids in programs through our public school system, but they age limit out at age 26.
Right.
So the ARC works, of course, in all age groups, but especially important for those that have age limited out, and really puts a life together for them that's social and educational and fun, and gives the caregivers a break. And it's just a super amazing organization of kind-hearted people. And nobody goes into this work for the paycheck.
Right.
Oh,
They have the compassionate heart to do the work. And so I got involved with ARC many years ago as a financial supporter, and then later when Patty and I were building the home on Chilson Road, I said, listen, we have to put 5 ponds in here, we have to stock them with fish, and we have to have fishing events for these kids.
Yeah.
And so we started doing that. It was 17 years ago now, and the fish are huge. The kids have a blast. The volunteers are fun because when they catch the fish and you fillet the fish and they take it, they've never seen a fish filleted. Right. And it's like, I have a buddy, John Kaiser, who's one of our longtime volunteers. He's an expert fillet, and he knows how to talk to the kids. He looks at them. They're all nervous. They're watching this. He says, don't worry. I'm just going to take their pajamas off. as he fillets away, the kids' eyes get big as saucers, and they kind of freak out a little bit. Then the fillets go over to the cooking tent. We cook it up in Drake's batter and serve the fish back to the kids for their lunch. And they have an experience and a day out of it. And we just had a wonderful one because we hadn't been able to do it in the last 2 years. And this was just a blessed day. We had, like you say, close to 200 people total there. And at the end, we got bold and we taught some of the kids who were up for it how to throw axes.
Oh, yeah.
And what could go wrong?
Right.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Just to jump in here, when we started these podcasts looking for people in the community doing good in the community, full disclosure, Steve's my neighbor, and he's kind of the neighbor on the backside of our property, so his driveway is probably a good half mile away from me. But if I walk through my property, I butt into his, and there's a path that goes straight over to his place. And when we first moved in about 8 years ago, was when we heard about Family Fun Day that he's talking about. And everything he just stated is an understatement of what goes on there, and the kids that are just running around, and the multitude of families that are there, and the cars that are parked all over his property. It just speaks to the amount of involvement that he has in the community and the kind of good and charitable nature that he has.
Sure.
So, kudos to you, Steve.
That's kind, Duane. I figure we're blessed in business. We're blessed with a lot of success, but it's not our house. It's not our acreage. It's none of that. It's just sort of on loan, because you can't take it with you, right? Ever watch Strange Inheritance? You can't.
Yes.
You can't take it with you,
Right.
right? So I really don't take anything for granted, and I think it's a wonderful way for us to serve those folks, because without the resources of success in business, you can't do much. And that's why I say no money, no mission. So we want to be successful in business. I want everybody out there to use Chestnut Real Estate as their broker, of course.
Of course.
Because when I earn that commission, I take that money and I reinvest a lot of it back into things that I think are good for folks who live here. It's not so I can go on another vacation, or I have everything in the world I'll ever need. It's not about me making more. It's just about, if the business is successful, you can do more for more people. And that's really the whatever time I have left, that's what I want to do with it.
Yeah. And your quote of how to be successful business comes from Zig Ziglar. Is that right?
You know that one.
Yeah.
It's so simple. Back in the 80s, when I was listening to audio tapes on cassettes, and I listened to Ziglar's entire series, and his mantra is, you can get everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. And it's people think, what does that mean? Well, if you think about it, it's really simple. It's turning it around in your head. It's not about what you can do for me. It's what I can do for you, and how I can help you get what you need. And of course, in real estate, if I can help you find the right house at the right price at the right deal, then I've done my job for you. And that way I get paid, and I can take that and spin it back into the community.
So on a little bit of maybe a deeper level, on these programs we talk a lot, and I always kind of come back to a point where I feel like people personally aren't really fulfilled, whether they realize it or not, or have a joy or a happiness if they're not serving or helping somebody else, if it's all self-focused. Do you agree with that? And what do you think, what would your life be like if you weren't helping anybody else and just enjoying your own success?
Well, I think all human beings are born a little selfish, because even if it's serving somebody else, well, the feeling that comes back for me is so tremendously satisfying. Well, isn't that selfish? I mean,
right.
If I help somebody else and I didn't feel good about it, I probably wouldn't keep doing it. But I think that's sort of built in. And a lot of the people that I've asked to volunteer, like on the Family Fun Day for the Arc and other groups, or in Rotary, the Livingston Sunrise Rotary, I belonged about 12 years now, and it's a club of servant-hearted people that, and by the way, this club is really focused on youth, the Livingston Sunrise Rotary. But they all say the same thing. It's, sure, we raise money and we help fund some of the nonprofits. That's kind of, we are a pretty big fundraising club, but we're also a service club. We had, last time Reaching Higher was running, for example, 17 members in our club were in the classrooms volunteering for the Reaching Higher program. And the conversation about the little experiences that you have with the kids and the rewarding feeling you get just by answering their question and reassuring them that they can be successful, and that what's happened to them, it doesn't define them, and that there's a way back to a bright life. Those are the things you could never put a price on, the feeling you get from that.
Duane, back to what you're talking about is understating these family fun days. Because in people's mind, they can think, well, if we had a fundraiser at our house, we have 25 people or something, What kind of cars are you talking about? How many people do you estimate come out to these family fun days?
Well, I don't walk around all the
You don't count
parked
them?
cars because I literally walk back to his place. So we haven't driven there.
Right.
But I don't know, probably 150, 200 cars that he has parked in the grass that he's mowed specifically for these people to park on.
Yeah.
And the kids wandering around the ponds, some of them look a little bit secluded. So you'll have some of the kids who are trying to get a little bit secluded. They'll be back there and watching them pull it out, pull a fish out. And the ones that have done it for the first time, you can tell because, some of them are just scared. It's like, oh my God, there's a fish up there.
Yeah.
And then the others are just screaming with excitement. They want to hold the fish.
Right.
And it's just going on all day. And these kids, in the fillet station that he was talking about, great to watch. You watch their faces, and some of the kids are like, "Oh, what just happened? You killed my fish."
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it's just good stuff all the way around.
I think the family fun days could continue. You just put little COVID masks on the fish.
Yeah, exactly.
Solved. So I'm really curious, actually, switch a little bit, I don't know how you have time for this, but I'm interested in why you do it and what you're interested in the Maritime Exchange Museum. What's this all about?
Well, I think a lot of people's interest probably flows back to the childhood.
Right.
That program is set by the time you're probably 12 to 13 years old. All of those hobbies and interests are sort of put there by your experiences. So, I mentioned earlier our family was pretty broken up, but my grandfather was a pretty cool guy. He took me fishing on the Detroit River. He took me fishing to Beaver Island. Those trips involved boating. The Beaver Islander, the huge ferry that would take you over to Beaver Island. It was like an adventure for an 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, right? You get on that boat, it takes you over the island, then you're on the island with your grandfather, you're tramping through the swamps, catching frogs and fishing and having a great time, and you come back, and it's all about the water. And on the water, in order to be safe, you have to have aids to navigation, and I learned about that at a young age with my grandfather. So if you misread a red buoy and you get on the wrong side of it, you're going to run aground. If you misread the characteristic on a light with a lighthouse, you could navigate into some very treacherous waters and have some problems. So as I started to grow and learn more about aids to navigation, it brought me into the service of studying those two disciplines, the U.S. Lighthouse Service and the U.S. Life Saving Service, which existed from 1874 to 1914 when it was absorbed by the Coast Guard. But those organizations, all they did was keep people safe at sea. And without either one, there would be a lot less people surviving their adventures at sea. So I started to collect the artifacts of that era from 1874 to 1914, and these just little bits and pieces and trinkets and this and that and the next thing. And I eventually got maybe a little carried away, and my wife would probably tell you that that's exactly what happened, a total hobby out of control. And now I have this small collection up in my second floor of my house that's full of this stuff. So the cool thing is being able to take school groups in there and teach them about the Lighthouse Service, the life-saving service, and the role they played before the Coast Guard was around.
There goes that youth theme again.
Yeah, it's important because it's not being taught anywhere in the classrooms. It's not really part of Hollywood's interests, so it's kind of fading, this whole, and they published reports every year of all the rescues at sea, and they're detailed, colorful, written reports. And they would take those reports to the Treasury every year and beg for money and funding in Washington, and they were just incredibly well done. So when you study and read about all these rescues, these people took their life in their hands every time they went to work, so to speak. And we have people that do that today, of course, in our first responders, but these guys did it back when it was cork vests and oilskins and the boats you had to row by hand, and no GPS, no safety. It was just done because that's what they had to do. And they risked their lives to save others for, the love of that work in their hearts and $400 a year in salary.
Wow.
Okay.
Yikes. Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. I followed it from a link from your Facebook, and I thought, oh, he's involved in this. And I read it. I'm like, he is this. I went back to you. You travel the world if someone had something to recover and restore, and it had to do with that.
Yeah, we did. We did a lot of world. We went to the island of Bahrain in 2006, my apprentice and I, and we recovered a 40-foot shipping container full of maritime aids to navigation and brought them back to the U.S. and slowly restored it piece by piece until we had enough for a display. And
interesting.
We went from there.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for your time. Thank you for coming in. Thank
Sure.
you, Duane, again. Been in recently.
Thank you very much.
And Purpose City, is presented by Executive Wealth Management and exemplifies our core values of trust, community, and compassion.
We are in a period of time of intense and continuous change.
People who want to build wealth need to know that an investment philosophy and process is critical to any long-term investment strategy.
So clients, when they're looking at their portfolios and they're seeing the markets move in a very negative fashion or even in a positive fashion, we want to make sure that we're taking advantage of what the markets are doing. So we're building, we're defending, and then we're advancing that strategy.
Through compassionate growth, we build, defend, and advance. That is the founding principle of our investment philosophy.
Clients knowing that they can be up at one level of risk and very gradually reduced based on a non-emotional analysis is mathematically driven. It is based on a developed system that is built for a very large community.
Our team is built up of not just a couple advisors with their assistants like you'll see in a lot of offices. We have our investment team here, an investment policy committee. We have our operations department here. We have our compliance department here. We have our technology department here, which allows our advisors to have more direct access, which allows them to not have to jump through as many hoops, when that just leads to a more efficient client experience. I wanted to be part of a company that had and fostered that teamwork, that had regular meetings, like the case studies, the collaboration, the practice management. I saw a ton of value in that.
Being part of a team is crucial for me. I came from almost 20 years in the banking channel. Thinking about why I came here was specifically to do with the way that they treat the employees as family.
We have a great culture here. That's one of the things that I really take pride in. It is about chemistry. You need people to want to be here.
The fact that we're treated so well allows me to focus on other things for our clients and how I can help them.
And what I really found special about this place was that the emphasis on building relationships. And that is something that I've carried into my practice as an advisor. I want to build that plan and then obviously allow us to defend it, but ultimately is that peace of mind that we're going to help them advance going forward.
I'm the partner to the investor with inside the firm. I really enjoy answering clients' questions. A lot of our clients like to read thoroughly through our disclosure documents, and they have a lot of excellent questions. And part of my job is to ensure that the client is informed and has access to that information. So if there's ever a time where a client has a question, and if they just want to give me a call, they are always welcome to do that.
We communicate with our clients. We are following up with clients when they ask questions. We want to make sure we're proactive in doing that. And that's part of our strategy of building and defending and then advancing our relationship.
I've been working for Executive Wealth Management for over 10 years. I love the people that I work with. We have great clients. Our clients trust us. We care about our clients.
Building your portfolio in your retirement, defending it when it needs to be defended in difficult times, and advancing it when things turn. Build, defend, advance.
Schedule an appointment today and meet with an Executive Wealth Management advisor to learn how we can build, defend, and advance your investment future.